On you sexy motherfuckers. So I thought I'd make a video today that I've always kind of liked making. I tried making them last year, and I made some like nade spot videos last year and stuff like that, but I don't know, I didn't like keep on doing it. But now that I'm starting to upload again, I feel like I want to start doing stuff like that again because I really enjoy getting nerdy on maps and finding weird stuff that maybe not everybody does, or little pre-nade spots and stuff like that. But I'm going to show you some of those things today, and spots that I use in GBs and stuff like that every now and then, and you know, just pre-nades, angles, stuff like that I've learned that maybe on raid back in Black Ops 2, if you played this game back then, if you played, you know, Black Ops 2 back then, maybe you didn't notice or know about or anything like that. Okay, first spot I want to show you is when you spawn on defense on search. It's like a really good pre-nade spot because once you throw the nade, it'll land at Zig right there. And if there's anybody Zig, if they're running out to mid, because how the timing works, unless they're playing like really slow and just like pre-aiming mid and not peeking at all, which people don't do that too often. Most of the time people just, you know, chow Zig to look in the kitchen from the other side, right? So if off spawn on defense, if you come off, you just throw this nade, it'll land into Zig each time. And if you kind of figure it out, you have to aim more to the right each time you throw it, and it'll land into Zig, and it'll get him weak. It's not going to kill him most of the time because people run flag more than tac. And also, if you don't throw it to the right enough and it's too much to the left, even if they don't have flak on, it'll hit marker them. So I mean, the whole point of the nade isn't necessarily to get a kill. If you do get a kill, you know, then, you know, good shit. But even if they're weak and you chow this after you throw the nade, like, they're gonna be weak. It's a way easier gunfight for you. You get what I'm saying? So I literally use it almost every defense. So another nade you can use is on offense, and it's pretty much like the opposite kind of nade. And like I said on the last nade, that I do it off the beginning of defense breaks, because most of the time, if I'm playing like twos with slimes, usually I'm the one that just looks mid every time, and he'll, you know, play like the off lanes, unless we're like doubling mid or something like that, right? So the opposite nade that I'll do on offense, if I do go mid, or if we do go mid, is literally just look over the wall. You don't have to peek around the corner. This shouldn't take too much practice. Just kind of throw the nade, and you can see I fucked it up there. There you go. It'll land literally straight in the kitchen. And again, sometimes you won't get the kill, but what you will do is you'll get them weak. I think the only time that I've noticed that it won't get them weak when the nade lands in here is maybe if they're like right here. But most of the time, kind of like the same thing over at Zig, people aren't really just sitting here pre-aiming like that. Sometimes people will. You definitely can expect that, but like most of the time people are shouldering to peek Zig, you get what I'm saying? Especially because on this side, you peek Zig before they come out of Zig. As long as especially you have the closer spawn when you spawn up. If the person that spawns closer to kitchen runs straight in the kitchen, he can beat them before they can even peek out of Zig. So it's definitely a really good nade. Even if you're not getting a kill, you can get them weak. And a lot of times what I have had happen is I'll throw that nade and it'll catch somebody running out the door, and it'll, you know, I'll get a stick sometimes. So it's definitely a really good nade to use. And part of my advice would be to use both of those nades if you're gonna like be a player that controls mid a lot in search. They'll definitely help you out a lot. So another spot that a buddy of mine, Holden, showed me in twos, and you can see the like this part of top laundry window. And because most of the time, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, that you don't have to see the whole entire window in the spot that I'm about to show you, because people will just peek it like this usually off first. Because if you're just like, unless it's somebody, when they peek the window, they slide straight across. But most of the time, I've noticed anyways, is that people will slow peek kind of like this to check like red door, to check like top window, and then maybe they'll like slide to the side to, you know, check like outer ring. So here's a spot that you have to get in. You really can only do this with a sniper. You can see the laundry window right there. And you get what I'm saying? If somebody's slow peeking that and you see their shoulder or anything like that, you can literally pop them right there. and the spot is really nice. I haven't used it like too much, and but like if you know that when the other team's on defense and you're on offense, that literally, especially if you're playing like 4v4 or something, that this kid keeps going top laundry and peeking right there at that corner, that's literally like a free snipe at the beginning of the round and like a huge first blood. So another little thing you can do, this isn't like insanely useful, but I feel like I've noticed some people don't really notice this, because in Black Ops 2 you weren't able to do this, but you can in this game. You can actually jump on top of this, and sometimes if it's hardpoint, so you know P3's here, the third hill's here, and a lot of times, you know, people that have half a brain aren't going to be sitting here in the middle of the room. So most of the time people are playing, if they're in hill anyways, are playing like the van, they're playing like the car corner. Sometimes you'll catch them playing like close, like the gym door. And I mean, if you know nobody's in, if they have teammates in hill or something like that, I mean, sometimes, you know, you'll catch people in gym or outside of the hill. But strictly just talking about like when people are inside the hill, like these are the two spots that people play most of the time. It's just the sides. Like nobody's going to be in the middle if they have a brain. So what you can do to check this corner when you're trying to break hill is you can literally jump up and see like the top of their head. And even if they're not in the corner, because most of the time people aren't just sitting deep in the corner. Like usually people are like heading the cars, you know what I mean, and like kind of snaking them. So literally you jump over that thing and you could even get like bullets into them, and it's a way easier kill. The only time I've noticed when I've done that in hardpoint that will mess me up is if like if I don't shoulder that first and there's a kid where I am now. So if I jump over that vent and go to check that corner where the cars are, and I didn't look over here at van first and there's a kid here, like he's gonna shoot me in the side. But like if you think about it, when you run up, you shoulder to see if there's anybody van. If there's not anybody van, safe play, jump off the AC to check the cars. You know, if you get bullets to the window, make him weak, make the gunfight easier for you. Once you peek him, then you're like easily breaking hill. Especially if it's like a 2v2 and you just killed one and you're looking for the other one and he's sitting in that car corner, like it's an easy break. Okay, another thing that I've noticed is this is more of a tip for like kind of low tier players, or like anybody that really just doesn't use their nades a lot. And I've noticed people that really don't use their nades a lot, or not even just like not use your nades or your stuns, or you know, tacs or lethals or whatever. It's using them properly and using them to a point of where they're actually useful instead of just fucking throwing them, you know. Because I mean, I'm pretty sure we all do the same thing in pubs. If you're playing a freaking nuke town, like most of the time you're throwing your nade over the house, you know what I mean? So but a lot of times I'm noticing in like actual matches, not pubs. Like pubs is whatever. You know, do what you want in pubs, but like if you're playing in GB or you're scrimming, or like you're wanting to get better at the game and try to like, you know, be a pro or something like that, or you know, S&D star or whatever, like you need to learn how to use your nades and your stuns properly. And one thing I'm noticing is when I've played hardpoint, people like, why are people not pre-nading on the sides? It's literally what you're supposed to do. Same thing. This even has to come down to like to where like I pre-nade mid a lot. Like I rarely, I don't want to necessarily say I rarely see people throw the nades, but they don't throw them right. Like people don't use their brains to understand that like if you can find an off angle to throw a nade at before you peek something, that is way better for you than if you're like trying to peek and throw a nade. You get what I'm saying? Because then, okay, so you know the timing I was telling you about? If you peek this and you go to nade it, they freely get to peek you, see you throwing the nade, and as long as they're not complete dog shit, like they can get a free kill on you. You get what I'm saying? So if you are able to throw like a off angle nade and get it to land where you want it to land and then peek that spot, that is huge, instead of just trying to peek something and then nade it. And then like I was saying, like in hardpoint, this is P1, right? You know, if you're spawning on this side, other than mid, if you're playing like 4v4, sometimes, or I'm gonna say most of the time, you'll have somebody on good side, because this is good side on P2. Like, this is P2, if you didn't know that. Sometimes you'll have somebody come look at kitchen, right? But most of the time, if it's a 4v4 match, let's just strictly talk about a 4v4 match. The other 3 kids on your team are gonna be looking over here, unless maybe like you feel weird that like they're gonna OE around pool or something like that to get good spawns. But most of the time, like the setup I've normally seen is a kid looks kitchen and then like the people 3-stack kill. So when they're on bad side, kids on bad side, sometimes they'll hit mid, of course. But you know, people have to come to hill, right? There's literally only 2 ways people are gonna push hill. People aren't gonna go out the window and jump out the window to get to hill because it will get them killed. The only time people go to window is to peek from window and like help their teammates, to watch over them, right? So there's only 2 ways that they're gonna get to hill unless they get through mid. But if you have a teammate mid, you don't have to worry about this. There's 2 ways, like the red door and the ramp, right? Pre-nade the red door and the ramp. It's just common sense. You get what I'm saying? It's just normal little things that you just have to use your brain. That's not even like giving you a tip for raid strictly. I mean, I guess it kind of is to show you like where to pre-nade at the beginning of P1, but like that's just like common sense for any map. Unless you're new to the game and you just don't know much about the game, but if you have common sense and you know where they're gonna come from off the break at like P1s on search, like where kids peek every round or anything like that, like just pre-nade it, get them weak, get an easy kill, like use your nades properly. And stuns, okay, stuns in this game, especially if you're playing GBs, because in GB variant, perk greed is allowed, right? So a lot of people run flag tack as their first 2 perks. That's like 99% of the time the kids on the other team, if they have perk greed on, are running flak and tack. The only time you'll see people running like flak engineer or tack engineer, which, you know, engineer is what shows you where trophies and stuff like that are. That's like, engineer is good for hardpoint, but you don't see people use it that much. But back to my case, a lot of people, if you're playing GB variant, are gonna run perk greed, so they're gonna have flak tack, right? So just because like your stuns aren't doing anything to them, that does not mean don't throw them. And that also doesn't mean just instantly switch to smokes. Now, sometimes it's not a bad play, because sometimes, like, if I'm playing 2s with slimes, like, we'll run double smokes on, like, maybe Garrison or something like that. But just because they're running tack, that doesn't mean, like, you can't use your stun. You can stun check. Simply just stun check shit. If you want to keep your nade off break, and, like, feel like the nade's going to be useful at another time, and you just want to check mid, then, look, just stun it. Look, stun checked. I did, and since I threw the stun, I wouldn't even have had to peek that. If it doesn't hit him there, I shouldn't even worry about it. Maybe if my teammate's going to A, I'm playing 2s with slimes, and I didn't hit anything mid off break, like, I can just come check B. You know what I mean? Like, use your utility properly. Like, I know this was necessarily supposed to be like a raid, like, only tip video, but like, I've seen this a lot, and it's just really frustrating to me that like people just don't use their utility properly. And you can use your utility way better instead of just like chunking it off break and not using your brain. And because I hate using, or not using, but hearing the excuse from people of I just didn't think about it. Like, it makes gunfights and your job on the map so much easier. It doesn't matter what your job on the map. Like, if we're coming down to like roles and like respawn, or even like maybe you're rolling search on a team of what you're supposed to do, most of the time, like if you're the person that looks mid all the time, like use your stuns and nades properly. And again, another thing I do not see, if you have trophies, now again, if you're playing by GAs or anything like that, to where your team can only have 2 trophies, look at where you need to be with trophies, like what gets naded more often. So if they're on offense, you're on defense, and you had a trophy but you didn't throw it down, and I throw that nade that I showed you earlier where I throw it over the wall, lands the kitchen, and I get a free kill on you, and part of the reason I got a easy kill on you is because of why? Because I hit you with the nade, right? But if you had a trophy and all you had to do was throw it down in this corner, it could have easily been avoided. You get what I'm saying? Same thing over at Zig. throw the damn trophy. When you get to Zig, throw it. If there's a stun or a Simtex that comes, what's the trophy gonna do? It's gonna stop it, right? You don't have to worry about nades or stuns or anything if you use your trophies properly. And it does not take that long to get your trophy back at all. Look how fast I get my trophy back, and I don't have on the gearhead perk right now. And if you're getting a kill off break after you use that trophy, you're definitely gonna have a trophy next round. Definitely. So like, just use your utility and your trophies more often, and just understand how much they can help you around the map. But also don't waste that. This pisses me off. Do not waste your trophies. Like, this is turning into a rant video instead of basically just a raid tip video. Like, I'm trying to think of like a perfect example of like kind of wasting your trophy in a manner that maybe you shouldn't use your trophy. Okay, well here's one. If you know that I'm on the other team and you're on offense, say you're me on offense right now, right? And I'm in kitchen, and I have thrown that kitchen nade every time that lands here, or the sun or whatever. If I've thrown that nade every round, and y'all keep trying to peek mid and it keeps hitting you, so you call to trophy it, right? Well, yeah, so let's trophy it. You trophy it, that's smart. That's smart play, right? Because I'm naded every round. You're trying to counter my nade, make it easier for you to, you know, get mid control here. Or at least have like a normal gunfight with me, right? But if a teammate comes and double trophies it, why are you double trophying it? I've only naded it once. Why are you wasting a trophy? You get what I'm saying? Like, and maybe somebody can make the argument, well, you know, it's not that hard to get your trophy back. True, but what happens when you get down to that moment where, say your teammate over at B dies when you were in mid, and he dropped bomb, and say it's like a 4v4, 3v3, and the teammate that threw his extra trophy just grabbed bomb, and he has to plant, but because he doesn't have his trophy and he doesn't throw a trophy down when he goes to plant, he can easily get naded off bomb. And what happens? He gets naded off bomb because they see him on bomb, and they maybe can't shoot him, but they know he's there, so he just gets double naded or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, don't use your heads. Like, I've played with a handful of people that like just seem like they don't use their brains, and I'm definitely not the smartest person in COD. Like, I'm not trying to like come off that way, but it's just like common sense stuff. Like, you have utility and trophies for a reason, and you know, things like that in the game to help you out. Use them to an advantage instead of just like having them and not using them. Quit, like, make things for you easier and things for your teammates easier and not harder. It's so simple to do. Just think about it. It's so simple to do. Like this, when I started using this nade, I literally saw that window when I played this map when it first came out on this game, on Cold War, and I was like, that's probably a good nade spot. Took me literally 2 seconds to figure out. Like, this isn't hard stuff. Just look at like things on the map, and it is not hard to notice like what could be useful to do with your utility and angles and stuff like that. So thank you for watching the video. I hope everything, you know, I said helped you out, especially the utility rant that I just had. But like these angles that I showed you, the nades, the sniper angle over here, like these are really good spots. If I find anything else that I feel like is really useful on this map, I'll make like a part 2 tips and tricks video for raid. But like I said, I hope you enjoyed the video, hope it helped you out, and hope you guys have a great day.